around. I am going to go over the answers for the accentuate the negative review that you guys completed today. I will send out your scores so you know what you got right and what you got wrong just for your own data. But if you are just kicking yourself because you want to know why an answer is what it is, here I am going to explain all of the questions for you. Feel free to skip ahead to the question that you want. So question number 1. If a positive integer is subtracted from a negative integer, the difference is always negative. The answer is always. And that's because if I pick any negative number, let's say negative 10, and I subtract a positive number, right? If I start off in debt and then I lose more money, right? I started off with debt of $10 and then I lost positive $9. I don't get out of debt, I just get more into debt. And it doesn't matter what pairs of numbers that you pick. If your positive number is bigger than your negative number, right? 10 is positive, that's bigger than 1. When 1 is negative, it still meant I started off with $1 of debt, and then I lost positive $10, which means I'm just more in debt. Okay, so it doesn't matter how you slice it, it is always negative. All right, question 2. And that question was, if a positive integer is subtracted from a positive integer, the difference is always positive. And this one's easy because I just figure out one that it isn't true, right? So if I take a positive integer, 10, and I subtract another positive integer, that difference is positive. Cool? So far it's looking like always, but what happens if I flip those around? Positive 1 minus positive 10, and now that's a negative answer. Okay, so it depends on which number is bigger. Is the first number bigger or is the second number bigger? If the second number is bigger, you will result in a negative answer. If the bigger number is first, you will result in a positive answer. So this one is sometimes. Question 3. This one's talking about Anessa. She had $5 on Friday, but then she bought a granola bar. So if I start with $5 and then I buy a granola bar, that's subtracting, right? So now I only have $4.25 left, right? But then she sees a movie. So her $4.25 also gets depleted because she sees a movie. And that leaves her with calculating just a measly 75 cents. But then she gets $2 from her brother, and getting is positive, so she gets that $2, which now she's back up to $2.75. But then she spends another $1.25, right? So then I have $2.75, and then I spent another $1.25 at the arcade, which leaves me with $1.50. Okay, so you just need to make sure, are you adding, are you subtracting, are you losing money, or are you gaining money? Okay, so your final answer is $1.50. Also, I marked you wrong if you didn't put your dollar sign because you need to have labels. They are important. Okay, cool. Question 4. All the Kelvin questions. I know these were worded maybe too much, but pick it apart. What you really need to know is that K is equal to C plus 273 degrees, right? That is the equation that converts Celsius into kelvins, right? So that's all you need to know. And then it says, what is 71 degrees Kelvin in Celsius? So what that means is, well, instead of K, I'm going to put 71. So 71, what's that in Kelvin, or in Celsius? So all I need to do is get C by himself. So I need to get rid of this 273. So I subtract him on both sides. Right, and that's what leaves me with negative 202 is it in Celsius. That's why it was negative, because it's 71 minus this big number. If you got a positive number, it's because you did your subtraction backwards. All right, the next Calvin question, it's going to be that same K equals C plus 273. This one's even simpler. This one tells you what Celsius is, right? So this is just a simple number sentence that you have to solve, right? So K equals negative 45 plus 273. Slap that in your calculator, right? And then that gives you the answer of 228 is K. Okay, right, this is a number sentence. Put it in your calculator. Question 6. So don't let the words trip you up. Scrape away everything you don't need to know. Figure out what you do need and use that to help you answer your question. All right, now we're going to talk about Juan and his baseball collection. So far we know that it's worth $800. But then it decreased $300 in value, which means that it lost money. But that happened in 5 years. So I need to know if in 5 years, right, it lost $300. How in 1 year, how much money? That's just a proportion that you can solve, or a simple division problem, right? It would be 300 divided by 5, right? Because you would cross multiply. But it's really $300 divided by 5, and that equals 60. So it loses $60 per year. So it lost a total of 300 over the span of 5. You want to know how much it is for 1. That's just your unit rate. You're just doing some quick division to figure out your unit rate. Okay, so most of you guys did pretty good on that one. The stock question, everybody did pretty well on it. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. All right, so she bought stock for $20 per share. But then in 6 days, her share is now worth $32. The first thing you need to do is figure out how much it increased by. So if it's now worth $32, but it used to be worth $20, we're talking about an increase of $12 in 6 days. So just like the previous question, if in 6 days it increased $12, how much did it increase in 1 day? That's this division problem, which it is $2 per day. All right, you're just splitting up that increase over the amount of days that it occurred, right? Cool. Okay, I'm almost done. Question 8. This one was tricky, and this one took me a long time, and I decided to give you guys a multiple choice because it took me a while to figure out that no 2 whole numbers is this true. Your numbers have to be fractions. Doesn't matter what fractions that you pick as long as they are less than 1. And then your fraction that has the biggest value needs to be your negative answer. If you use whole numbers, your sum is never going to be less than your product. That's just how fractions work, right? When you multiply fractions, you end up getting a smaller fraction, and since it's a negative smaller fraction, that means it's closer to 0, meaning that it has a bigger quantity. So if I multiply negative 1/2 times 1/4, right, and multiply my across, so numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, I get negative 1/8, right? And if I add them together, so I have to get common denominators, so negative 2/4 plus 1/4 is 1/4. Negative 1/4. And so negative 1/8 is closer to 0 than negative 1/4. So thus your product is bigger. And that's the only one where that happens. Feel free to check out the other ones. You should be able to do that quick multiplication to show that the other ones don't work. So by process of elimination, you should have chose question 8, if not, or the fractions. And then question 9, well, this is just simple calculations in your calculator, right? If I type this into my calculator, I receive the answer of negative 8. But if I put this in my calculator, I get 2. Okay, they forgot the negative sign here on the 5, and so that's not the same thing. And then for question 10, I got a lot of good answers, but I was really rethinking trying to write this as a addition problem. But I got a lot of good answers. As long as your two numbers combined to make the solution of -8, there's a lot of combinations of numbers. The one I was looking for was -5 plus -3. That's the easiest one to equal -8, but I got a lot of other good ones, like -8 plus 0 is perfect, right? That's a pretty simple one. I also got like -12 plus 4, which also equals -8. So there's a bunch of different combinations of numbers that you could add together in order to equal -8. Just check them out and use your calculator to help you. I hope that this helped, and if you have any additional questions about why you got something wrong or right or what have you, just let me know. Bye, guys.